Welcome to the Porsche Club Insider, your one stop for all things Porsche and PCA. Here's your host, Vu Gwyn, and the Insider crew.
Hello, and welcome to episode 45. It's the third week in 2023. We have special guests here, along with the family crew here of Manny, myself, and Damon. But we also brought up out of the great north, Mr. Rob Sass. How are you, Rob?
I'm fine, thanks, Fu. So now I'm special guest
I was going to say, I don't think
I wasn't that long ago as a regular.
I haven't seen you in forever. You're now special guest.
Emphasis on the special.
Special guest means we have to make coffee for him.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So let me just, before we jump into it, want to make sure everyone, if you enjoy the podcast, like, subscribe, and comment. And those of you that have been listening, we've noticed that you have been commenting when we drop little subtle hints of, I think, what was the last thing we asked them last episode?
Whether Manny should be censored or not.
that one, too. I think we asked them about their first car, right?
Yes.
So do you have a couple of them you want to pull up?
Let's see. So just going in order. People, that was the most commented comment of this past podcast. So we had, these are the usernames, PyroGen USA. I would love to know the background of some of these names.
PyroGen?
So it says PyroGen USA, wow. All one word. So first car was a 59 Coupe at 16.
Ooh,
traded for a 62 nice. Roadster at 17. I still have it. I've owned several since. Also still have a 66 912 and an 84 911 cab. That's a very nice collection, sir.
That's a
I
diehard.
hate people who keep cars.
66 911.
Why? Because you don't?
Exactly.
Just because you can't do it.
I know.
This is from Roger Hatfield. He's
Roger,
he's a
local.
Coffee
Yep.
regular. Yeah, I was 23 years old when I got my first Porsche. It was a 71S from Brumos. He's told me about this car before. Every time he sees an early car at Cars and Coffee, he tells the people, I used to own.
Does he tear up a little bit?
Much like Rob Sass does, yes. Steve Bliss, 3492. I was 29 when I bought my 66 912 with 5-speed and electric sunroof, which is that was a pretty cool thing to have back then, electric sunroof. I think that was it.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for commenting. We do enjoy reading these.
Yeah. So we don't know somebody's car here, actually, because Rob wasn't here at the last podcast. What was your first Porsche?
72 911S. I paid $6,500 for.
And so that's why there are tears in your eyes.
Yeah, exactly. Boulder, Colorado, the late 1980s. I was a college student.
Oh, my gosh.
So when you were looking for that car as a college student, was it just not like a special car or what?
No, everybody wanted a G-body car. People were, instead of backdating cars, people were updating cars. They were buying bumpers, rear reflectors,
and making them look like G-body cars?
Making them try to look like G-body cars.
Automotion, performance products, all those catalogs sold the kits.
Really?
The Transform. Some were better looking than others, but yeah, like Rob said, that
they were all horrible.
You could always tell because the early long hoods, they kept the Porsche script, the lettering on the back deck lid, and then they put also the Porsche reflector. That was so cool. So, yeah, it was...
I did not do that, but I did buy a ducktail and an RS front bumper.
Did you put flag mirrors, or you leave the original mirrors on there?
I left the original mirrors.
And how long did you keep that car for?
I kept it until I moved back to the Midwest and needed AC, and I sold it and bought a 73.5 T.
So is that a year or is that 2
No,
years?
it was a couple of years. It was a couple of years.
A couple of years.
The
young Rob Sass kept cars.
Yeah,
well, I mean, we've worked out that's roughly the average, right? Almost about 2 cars or every 2 years you go through a car.
Year and a half or
So
2
that's
years.
not-
I mean, Vu makes it
about right
seem
on.
like it's every 6 months.
About right on.
But no, but I mean, the car didn't have it. It was a no option S that I wound up selling and buying a 73.5 T that was just stupidly optioned, that had an electric sunroof, an S front spoiler, sports seats, leather,
Wow.
AC. It was crazy.
So imagine if you had kept it.
Yeah, I imagine that
That's a little dig.
every freaking day.
I was gonna say, he has a whole list of cars. We could do a show of Rob's regrets.
Yeah.
And in parentheses,
Rob's regrets. There we
just
go.
the cars, just the cars.
A show, like 8, eight
Rob's
or 9
regrets.
shows. But no, I mean, the thing is,
No regrets.
Yeah, Scotty P. But no, look, I mean, nobody wanted log hoods in those days. Everybody wanted G-body cars, including me. When I sold that awesome, beautifully optioned 73.5T, I bought an 83 SC and felt like, oh, no, this is a real car, But
Very cool.
yeah,
Yeah, last time I saw long hoods that were converted to short hoods was in the aughts.
What?
The aughts. We were talking
Yes,
about this earlier. It's an actual word. It's from 2000 to 2009.
Have you ever heard
The
that?
early
Used it?
aughts, the aughts.
The aughts?
I thought it was some 60s band.
AUGHTS.
No. Okay. Are you learning us on something?
I
today?
am. It's on NPR.
Actually-
so if you only
actually,
listen to
we were
NPR, then,
NPR.
earlier, and,
Really?
and Rob used it in the sentence, I think, right?
yeah.
And I'm
Yeah,
like,
like
well,
15
what is
minutes
alts?
ago.
And Damon was like, it says 2000s. And I'm like, I've never heard that.
You got me, man.
honestly, I haven't seen an updated, long hood car in 30 years. I don't know.
Yeah, I saw him sometimes in San Diego region in the mid 2000s, but then now we see him being
They're barn
pulled back
finds.
to the long hood.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
of
sure.
course.
Yeah, I'm sure that,
What about,
there's still a barn find out there. Or
Pete
somebody's-
Tremper. Remember?
I was thinking Pete
yeah,
Tremper.
Pete Tremper was given a car.
Yep.
The widow just wanted to get rid of this 71, I think.
Was that
911T?
Ended up being my uncle's car?
No.
That was a different car.
but
Okay.
It was a 71 911T that was updated to look like a 74. And it was updated so well, just really correctly. They welded in there all the plates. I mean,
Yeah.
the back panels and whatnot. That it wasn't worth it at the time to retrofit it back to the original long hood. So, he drove this 71 that looked like a 74 around, which as the long hood started becoming more popular and more valuable, it was just crushing when you'd have to explain to someone, well, it's actually a 71. What? You changed it to a 74?
Most of them were not that well done, especially in the front where they kept the long hood and put some kind of bumper on that made it look
Well,
like
that
a G-body.
that
It was
reminds
terrible.
me of, you remember, what was it, Anziano boys out of like Orange County, where they would take 80s cars and like make them into like these slope nose front fender
The tiny
with the
lights.
tiny little lights. Oh man, that's
I know what you're talking about.
Oh, I thought those were Strosek.
Yeah,
well, I think they
Strosek
were.
was
I
what
think they were like a second grade.
Strosek
sorta.
Yeah, because those were,
inspired.
I hated
Yeah.
like the naked mole rat headlights.
But if they did all that to this car, where are those cars now? And did those cars, get put back? Because there was
You
a
see
lot.
it
There
pop
was a lot
up.
of them.
True.
There was a
You
lot
see
of
them
them.
pop up on bringing trailers sometimes.
Yeah.
And they have not aged well.
They haven't. They haven't. Just like Callaway Corvettes and stuff.
Gimbalas.
Gimbalas. And,
Yeah. All right, let's get to the 5 Porsches from Scottsdale before I have to clear out of here.
All right. So what's your call on that?
On
Scottsdale,
Scottsdale in
yeah.
general, or the 5 cars that we're looking at?
The 5 cars.
Well, the first one is a 78 928 that Manny and I were talking about just before we went live.
Beautiful car.
Yeah, it looks really nice, but the thing is, it's not a freakishly low mileage car. It's not a 15,000. It's a 64,000 mile, well kept.
To give the listeners who are not on YouTube a visual, it's not a number one car like Rob said. It's not a museum car.
No, it's probably like a 3 plus.
That's what it
Yes,
says, like a 3.
It's a good looker, at least from the pictures. It's what we call silver with matching wheels, I guess.
Yeah, phone dial wheels. Doesn't
yeah.
have Porsche seats, which would have been a big plus, but it is a 5-speed.
It's not
which is-
clean.
Which is not that
It's
terribly.
clean enough.
No,
Okay.
well,
It does not look.
It
Is it
wasn't-
missing a hood pad or is that Cosmoline?
no,
I
it's
didn't-
missing a hood pad.
Okay.
Yeah.
The front little hood pad.
Yeah. I
where
mean,
the
it's
emblem
not a
is.
perfect car. It's probably a 3. It's a driver quality early 928
See,
5-speed. I
That-
realize
that's the
5
perfect
speeds-
car for me.
And
Right?
it is for me too.
Yeah.
It's not too precious, but the thing is, it's got a $50,000 to $75,000 pre-sale estimate. So, if this car makes that pre-sale estimate, whether it's $50,000, $60,000, or $70,000, I think it tells us something about the strength of the 928 market. That a driver quality
But
early
do you- but do
928
you-
is doing that well.
So yeah, oh cool, look at that. I see a little PCA decal in the rear window. But a car like that ends up at Bonhams, like I think Bonhams to me is once you get there, that's like that car should be pristine, no?
Yeah, Bottoms is a catalog sale, and you would think that the car would be a 2 or even a 1
exactly.
car, but the fact of the matter is,
I mean, you look at those pictures.
it is a Pasha car.
That car,
it's got blue Pasha. I didn't realize
car
that.
looks like it hasn't even been detailed yet. So how does it make it into the catalog looking like that.
You never know. I mean, maybe it was photographed at the last minute. Who knows? It will probably show up at the actual auction, I'm guessing, with a new hood pad and detailed.
Okay.
That is my
Okay.
guess. That it'll show up at the sale,
That's patina now. That's
in
not
a better
being
state.
detailed.
But
Oh,
I must
agreed.
not have looked at it carefully because I forgot this car it's silver with
Now
blue
he's going to
fascia.
go goo goo gaga just because of the interior.
Yeah.
To him, that's like 10 grand more.
So as a
it's
buyer-
not just to me.
So as a buyer,
Yeah.
would you want that to be really clean or just
Absolutely.
presented
Well,
as
it depends
is?
how much it's going to
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Well, I mean, the
Exactly.
thing
it might
is,
go
though,
for a little less money
Look,
as a buyer.
a few years ago, this
No.
was a $25,000 car.
Yeah.
So that's really, the point here is that 928s, the early cars, and the last cars, the GTSs, have moved a lot recently. So
That's strong money.
yeah. All right, next car.
Oh,
What do we?
On the is this the Carrera
it's a Carrera
GT?
GT.
That
Yep.
would be the Carrera GT,
Yeah.
Robert. It's at the so it's an interesting one. It's primarily because it's not the original color.
Oh, it's a,
But
that's a
here-
color
here's
change.
the,
It's a
here's the,
repaint.
Yeah.
Here's what makes it interesting. The shop that did it, and I'm going to mispronounce it.
Carrosserie.
Carrosserie, is that it?
Yeah,
Out of Philadelphia. I can say nothing but the best about this shop. I got a tour of it. We had I think Reason to the Region had a meeting up there, and I was thoroughly impressed with
They do phenomenal
the
work.
work that they do.
This is
and I
probably
know
s-
people that have had work done to it, and it's left better than the factory. I know that's something people always say, but this is from people in the know who measure gaps, who measure everything, and they do phenomenal work. So, like Rob said, the paint job is top notch, but then the issue comes in. It's not the original.
Doesn't match
and unlike
its-
Porsche, which they gives it a new birth certificates and rejuvenate and all that when it's changed color, this is not. This will still show a silver as the original color.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the color change, it's a color that would have been available.
It is
No,
not.
it's not.
Oh, it's
It is
not.
not. Yeah, it
Oh.
is. It's
Take-
not.
It says here as Rob wrote, I believe here, bespoke PPG shade of red. And PPG, is that a company?
yeah.
Yeah, it's a brand
Okay,
of paint.
brand.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't
Yeah.
know, man. I'm like,
And it was GT silver, so I mean, if it were me buying that, I would take it in red. I'd rather have
well,
that.
I think it looks good.
Looks really good.
But that kind of money to have a car that has had a color change, I don't know. That's
Yeah, I don't think
I
there's
think
a
it's
damage
polarizing.
history. I think the person just wanted to personalize the car.
Yeah.
It's at the right auction for that, though. It's at Barrett-Jackson.
Mm-hmm,
And, it's the place that invented the resto mod, essentially.
I
So-
see a lot of alcohol at Barrett
Yeah.
Jackson when I'm watching TV.
Yeah, also legendary bitters bar. But,
and
you
they
know,
always say that's resale red, right? Like
Yeah.
that car will pop over
Right.
a silver car.
Right,
in
right.
terms
So, I
of
mean, I
having that.
think, you're going to have a crowd that's not filled with purists, that may be filled with alcohol.
Yeah.
And here's a car, a V10 supercar, in a really, really arresting shade of red.
Less than
It might do
4,000
very
miles.
well. I mean, one of the catalog sales, the purists would pick this car apart. But I think at Barrett-Jackson, it's got a chance to do pretty well.
So, do we want to make bets on how much? Because there's no
I'm
pre-sale.
saying
See.
1.1.
I say 1.2.
What have they been going for recently? Above $1 million, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
The
over a million.
low mileage cars, get close to $2 million.
Rob, what's your call?
I think somebody in the crowd at Barrett-Jackson is gonna love this car and pay 1.5 for it.
That was going to be my guess.
Oh,
I'm going to
that's
say
money.
1.4 just to be different.
Yeah,
See,
How
but,
about that?
Wow, that's strong money, Mr. Sass.
strong liquor there.
I will take this opportunity. I know we're going to talk about it again later on, but the next Tech Tactics Live is February 1st, and we'll have Nathan Mers, who's going to Scottsdale, and he'll report on, hopefully he'll be able to attend the auction of these cars as well as other Porsches and give us a state of the market. But yeah, that'll be interesting if it hits 1.5 because that means somebody fell in love with red and didn't
Right,
care
right.
about provenance or filling a collection with the proper car.
Right.
All right, so I've written down our calls. We'll be able to check back. We'll know the numbers, and we'll see who got it right.
All right. The next car.
Probably, aside from the Carrera GT, if the Carrera GT weren't there, this would be my favorite by a long shot.
Yeah, this car is a hypersonic missile to the heart of any Porsche person.
A 93 964 Turbo S lightweight.
Ooh.
So like I
Yeah.
told Rob, I said this is a. It looks cool. It's got the turbo body. It's
Speed
got
yellow.
The, Speedline wheels. Yes, it
yellow.
says speed yellow. But you still have to explain to people what it is to appreciate because it's going to look like just a very nice 911 Turbo of the 964 era, but it's actually has a lot more significance, being the lightweight. These were essentially handmade. I mean, they
not only when people explain to people lightweight.
Well, lightweight in this car means something. I mean, we've gotten used to lightweight meaning, hey, they shaved 75 kilograms, 150 pounds,
which
out of
is
something.
a lot. Don't slam Porsche for that.
Oh no! But I mean, they shaved 400 pounds
Out of this car?
Out of this car.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. And it's a factory done project, right? Like this is not some.
Yeah, so we got to remember when this car was built. Like I was telling Rob, I said Porsche was on the verge of bankruptcy. They were selling the sales were at their all-time low. Short of having a garage sale outside of Wysock to get rid of parts to raise money, this is stuff they were trying to do. They were trying to make exciting cars, something that would get people to buy cars while using up some bin parts to get sales up.
An interesting car. It was built for the Japanese market originally, but it's left-hand drive. Mm-hmm. It's got a factory roll cage, and somebody added AC back into the car, which I think is interesting.
Well, I think that's pretty common in the Japanese cars. I think Nathan mentioned that.
Yeah.
The Japanese never pass up AC.
Yeah.
And it could be a race car. If it's available, they're gonna get AC.
Yeah, just 86 built, and this thing is just stunning.
And it's also got a horsepower bump in addition to the decreased weight, right?
Yep.
So this thing literally is a missile.
Yeah, I didn't have a chance to look up, but I thought the Turbo GT Le Mans car that Brumos ran at Daytona, El Amos called, I think it was based on this car. I think this was the basis for when they built the actual race car. Maybe that's why it has that IMSA sticker on there it is right there.
Yeah.
On the bottom of the
that would make
rocker
sense.
panel.
So all the decals on the rocker panel, those would be how it came from the factory?
I would think so.
The ones I've seen, they've all had that.
Really?
Yeah.
Was that say Supercar Champion?
Yeah.
Wow.
They were. It was called a supercar. I don't think it
That
was
sounds
called
very
supercar.
German when they do stuff
Yes.
like that.
But I remember, I think it was the year I bought my 911 C2 used. I got pit passes from Champion, and because I wanted to see the Brumos car, because Hans Struck was co-driving with Hurley Haywood.
And what would have that car retailed for back? It wasn't available in the U.S., but what would it have retailed roughly back in the day? New.
I'm sure it's well over $100,000, right, Manny?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
115. Even back in the
probably
day.
even more than that, I would
Yeah.
say.
And now they're estimating $1 million to $1.3 million.
Yeah. Which I think is
it'll
kind of
I think-
conservative.
I was about to say that. I think that's kind of conservative.
I
for
do too.
How rare it is.
I do
and
too.
what it is, and everybody loves that body style, right?
Yeah.
So,
Which gets us to the next car that maybe everybody doesn't love, but
the
we'll talk.
polarizing Flaubach.
Flachbau.
Flachbau.
Flat nose, yeah.
There's just no contest in the looks department,
Right.
for me at least.
It's either you love it or you don't, I think. As far as
I mean-
slant nose. Some people...
I just think of my 968 when I look at that. It just doesn't. I don't know. I don't mind like a
have you
know,
ever
like a
driven
G-body
a
like a
slant
930s.
nose?
I've sat in one and it's weird because you don't have the
I've
high
driven
fenders.
one, and exactly. It's very strange.
Yeah.
If you're
To
used
tell
to
you where the corner
driving
of the
a,
car
especially an
is.
older 911, it's very strange
Yeah.
not having that.
Not knowing where the corners of the
Yeah.
car are in front. It's weird.
It feels like a 944. 944 feels like that because the 944 has the sloping hood.
Looks better from that angle, from the rear.
So I know that car is probably quite stock. It looks weird now with the front
Has the
nose
stock ride height on
and
it.
the ride height. It's
Yeah.
like a 4x4.
So I was
ride
wondering,
height.
is that other lightweight, is that at the factory stock ride height, or did somebody go in and lower it?
Well, that's a Euro car, so
Yeah.
right,
I mean, that's
right off
super
the,
low.
Yeah, right off the bat,
Yeah.
it's already lower. But
It was terrible because they had to raise up ride height for U.S. DOT, the headlights, and it just gave it a terrible look.
The story with this car is funny, though. I mean, they took essentially the last 76 964 turbos, which were probably approaching sale-proof status, sent them to Porsche Exclusive, and they did this. And now all of a sudden you've got a really rare car. Unlike the previous car, there were some of these cars sold in the U.S. 39 of these cars came to North America.
Yeah, for listeners who aren't on YouTube, the headlights we're talking about are just like 968. Or I think
Or
they actually use
928.
it, or
Or
928.
928 too, yeah.
They're not hidden; they're just laying down. And It's slant nose. It's a sharp looking car with the yellow.
It looks like one of those cicada bugs with the headlights up.
It looks more traditional 911 when you glance at it with the headlights up.
It looks better with the headlights up, actually.
Yeah, I think it would help it to have it lowered 1.5 inches, give it a better stance.
The interior is immaculate. That car's been detailed.
Yeah, it's very low miles. It's
28,000 miles.
But it's an interesting car.
It's a
X85.
collection car. I think,
Does the buyer of the 964 Turbo S Lightweight also pick up this car? You think the same person's going to be bidding on both
it
of
almost
them?
like it's like buying two puppies that are brothers. You gotta take one with the other, right? I mean, you can't leave one hanging.
It wouldn't surprise me. Which is why I think
be a pair. And when you would display them, it would look even more awesome having the flat nose and the Turbo S Lightweight.
Plus, there's got to be somebody out there putting together an all-speed yellow collection.
If you are, let us know. We'd like to know.
Yeah, we want a video of it. Yeah,
and this one's estimated for 800,000 to $1 million. Interesting.
Vu's like, I'm in.
I'm a huge slant nose fan just because I'm from the 80s and I had one on my bedroom wall, but it was not the one with the pop-up headlights like that.
It was the G-body.
It was the G-body
like a
style.
930S.
And I think between the two, I like the older slant nose style.
Yeah.
My favorite was the DP ones.
The DPs,
They look really like
the
a
DP
935s.
Yeah.
935s.
That looked, to me, that was a pretty nasty looking car.
One of those popped up at Barrett-Jackson, again, of all places.
They've aged
couple
pretty
years
well.
ago.
I mean, they haven't it's not like some of these other body kits. DP stood for, I think, Design Plastic.
DP Motorsports, yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was German, and they had the extended whale tail on it. It was
and the
of
headlights
course,
fared and the plexi
the
in the front
adjustable
spoiler.
boost knob where the clock is.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
those were cool.
So what are we
Car number
predicting?
5.
Last car.
We put our predictions for the flat nose.
Oh. Well, we didn't do predictions for the first ones.
Yeah, all we said was we thought the pre-sale estimate was pretty conservative, and I think they are for both the cars. And I think if you've got two people in the room who want to acquire both of these cars, both of them could go well over the pre-sale estimates.
I think this one's a polarizing car. I think this one, I'm going to call 800 on this one.
Fair enough.
Oh, sorry.
I think it'll hit $1 million.
Okay, hold on. Let me write these down.
Where's this at? Is this Barrett-Jackson too?
No, this is at I think this is RM.
Manny, what'd you say? 1 million?
Yeah.
Rob?
Oh, 1.1.
Damon?
I'm going to say 1 for the slant nose, 1 million, and I'm going to say 1.4 for the lightweight.
All right, so for those of you listening along and you want to play this game, put your predictions down, in the next couple of days or so, and we'll see if who's closest.
And
Damon
just to-
was going to do $1 like the Price is Right.
Yeah, $1
Bit over.
Yeah. So, and just for continuity's sake here, 928. I'm going to say that's going to go for 60.
All right, let me go back here because I got to record all this.
Yeah.
So, 928, you said what?
I'm going to say 60 for that. So right in
60?
the middle of the estimate.
Manny?
50.
50. Rob?
It all depends on how this car actually shows up at the auction. If it shows up, with a new hood pad and nicely detailed, I'll say 55.
So it's wearing makeup is going to go for a lot more.
I say 50.
I wonder what day it is because the Thursday cars.
I want to say Bonhams is a Thursday
Is it?
auction. Yeah,
Because like
Thursday,
Meekum, the Thursday cars at Meekum are awesome. When it's televised, because that day I'm like, I can afford these cars. These are all ones that are pretty good deals.
All right, Damon, on the 964 Turbo S Lightweight, you said $1 million you'd go for?
For the lightweight, I think that's going to beat the pre-sale estimate high end at 1.4. So I'm going to say 1.4 million.
1.4. Manny?
The lightweight, I thought I said 1.1.
No, that was Carrera GT.
Correct. 1. Boy, this is a tough one. This
Pre-sale
gonna
is
tell us
1 to
about the economy.
1.3.
Yeah. Let's do 1.1.
1.1. Rob?
$1,350,000.
Okay, so both of us are going over the pre-sale. Yeah, I think if there's one car
I'm
here,
gonna go-
This is before the.
I'm going to do
buyer's
1.2.
premium.
This
I
is
knew you
before
were gonna-
buyer's premium,
Yeah.
so let's not say I
Yeah.
got it right with the buyer's premium.
This is Hammer. This is
All
not
right, so on to the
something
car
juice.
number 5. Car number 5, which is not a super fast car.
Right. the antithesis of that.
356.
But I guarantee it's one that would get more attention than maybe all these other cars.
Oh yeah,
Maybe.
for
Yeah,
sure.
probably would.
The cars and coffee factor would be very high.
Yeah. Bonhams has a bunch of pre-A.
Yeah, so it's a
356s.
52 pre-A 356, and it's a 1500S.
The company is
Cabriolet.
only 48 months old when this car's built.
Yeah.
That's how young this car is.
Yeah. So what does it have here? The split window or the bent window?
It's a bent
It's the
window.
bent
It's an
window.
1500S with 70 horsepower, which was crazy
That was a lot.
power.
That was a
for-
lot.
Yeah, for a pre-A car.
Especially when you figure Volkswagen Beetle was at 36, I think, back then.
Something like that,
25, 36. Yeah.
That is a gorgeous car.
It really is. You know, and I'd forgotten how pretty pre-A cabs were. I'd forgotten they don't
What
have
color is that interior?
Brown.
Really?
What's it look like to
What's
you?
it look like?
Oh,
to
I
you?
was going to say.
I thought it was like, you're going to tell me like pinkish or something.
No,
it's
it's like
brown.
brown.
And I'm assuming that's the original color combination. I mean, cars are.
It's red. Is that a guard's red?
It's not
Well,
guards
it could
red.
be
It's a
red.
brighter red.
Yeah, it's not even. It's like not even polar red. I don't.
So the great
What
thing
we would
about
call it
pre-A's for
then.
people that are wondering what the pre-A is, that's the, if you will, the first generation of 356. There's essentially 4 generations, pre-A, A, B, and C. The C's are so refined, it feels like you're driving a somewhat modern Toyota. You can do easy 90 miles an hour on the interstate and not even think twice. The pre-A's are a little bit more archaic.
Yeah.
They are,
Yeah, I mean they've got really skinny 16-inch wheels and tires, which is kind of strange. They actually went from 16 to 15. Right?
as Damon learned, they have long shifts on them.
Oh, my God.
At least this one, it's a 52, so it should, I think, have an all-synchro gearbox, which was a big deal.
But the coolness factor is high. And this is the first year that the crest appears on the hood.
And this is an all drum brake car, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
They didn't get the
Very drummy
disc
drum
brake
brakes.
until the C in 64. So 55 in the U.S. is the first year of the A.
And look at that Telefunken,
Yep.
just like our microphones.
I mean, the whole thing screams the coolness factor is like off the charts for this car.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Cam
radio is
brake
like
light
the
knobs.
coolest radio I've ever seen. That
Yeah.
is,
with like ivory knobs.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's a the 2 gauge setup is indicative of the pre-A's. That's an
Yeah.
easy spotter guide.
Zoom in on that radio again. Look at all the, are those
Shirtwave.
cities?
That's shirtwave.
Yeah.
You say-
Leipzig?
The cities, all the different
So,
cities.
so you just like tune it to the city that you're.
Oh my god!
I think it's shirtwave. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you never had like a two knob radio?
Yeah, I have, but those are not numbers. Those are
it's-
cities.
Yeah, that's cool. That is
Yeah.
definitely cool. Leipzig,
it's-
Paris. You tune into whatever city you want
That
to
is
listen
crazy.
to.
I've never seen them just name out the city instead of the frequency.
That is cool.
Wait till we find a car of 8-track, then we can explain what that is.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing is, though, I mean, and Manny, you probably know this better than all of us, but 25 years ago, so you couldn't give away a pre-A car,
Oh, no,
right?
It was like, well, I joked that all the buyer's guides told you to stay away from early 911 turbos that were not intercooled.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are most valuable today.
Right.
And same thing, if you're looking for 356, stay away from pre-A's because you
And
couldn't find
now-
parts for them. They were terrible to drive compared to the C's and all this. All the buyer guys told you buy a C and you'll be happy. And of course now it's the opposite. Everyone wants an early turbo, and the ultimate status is to show up in a pre-A.
Yeah, and these cars are very rare, obviously.
What I do have to say, having driven, and I've only driven one car, and it was an A, correct? I think the 56 Speedster I drove, and then I drove a C. The C was so much easier
refined, yeah.
and less stressful to drive. I will say that. I would have to go for a later car if I ever bought a.
But the
356.
coolness factor of this car is off the charts. Like
Yeah, it is.
the other cars that we were just talking about, all kind of teeter around the $1 million mark. This car is like
For only
a
$220.
bargain, right? Around 220 to 250. But as Manny said, if you brought all 5 of these cars, this car would probably get the most attention.
It'd be worth it to fly John Patrick out to this and inspect the car and
Yeah.
tell me everything that's incorrect on the car and whether or not I can get the correct parts for it.
What I
Yeah.
love about Pre-A's is the bumper,
bumper,
the
yeah.
front bumper, how it's so like up against the bodywork, and it's just.
I like about
a
this car
beautiful design.
the trim rings was, I think it's the same that they used in the America Roadster.
Yeah, and the steel wheels are body color.
It's a
but
very simple lines on it.
Right.
It's I look at it, so that's a 52. Think about what America was making in 52. The size of our cars.
Long tails, takes
Yeah.
up, what, 12 feet?
Yeah,
it's
19-foot cars. But look how nicely the bent windshield kind of mimics the the nose of the car. It's very pretty. I like the fact that it doesn't have vent windows.
And
It's a
that
good
can be
looking car.
had for the low price of estimate $220 to $250.
Okay, Manny, what's your call
I have
on
no
the
idea.
number for this car? It's in resale red.
And
At
doesn't
bottoms.
say, I guess I'm assuming that's the original color, and I'm assuming that everything matches.
Mm-hmm.
I would say I don't know if it'll hit 250 or not.
Well, I'm going to put my mark down since you're thinking. I'm going to say 220.
But that's a tough.
I'm going to put 225.
Damon,
I mean,
225?
the 356 is probably the model I'm least familiar with, value-wise, and
I'll say 210.
yeah. So below the estimate, huh?
Yeah, I think the market for these are soft.
Yeah.
Softer.
Yeah,
Rob?
I mean, I was going to say 210 also because I'm certainly no expert with 356s or pre-A cars, but my guess is that there are things about this car that aren't, 100% original, correct, or whatever. And I think that when you're dealing with a historic thing like a pre-A car, that stuff really matters.
Yeah.
So I'm
So
going to say
210?
210.
All right.
And on that note,
All right. You heading to the airport,
Yes.
Mr. Sass? Our special guest is departing the building, ladies and gentlemen.
And the
Safe flight.
thanks.
Have a good flight.
Thanks. Scottsdale will be interesting.
All right, so let's talk about last weekend. I spent 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, with our newly assembled executive council with Aaron Ambrosino at the helm. You met him in our last podcast, and man, 2023, and I've said this before, 2023 is going to be an exciting and incredibly busy year. And after this meeting, I can tell you that's 110% true. How about you guys this weekend?
I didn't do almost anything yet again.
Man.
So when I get into my mode of just chilling and watching TV, like I get home, YouTube, all my favorite car channels, go to the home screen, browse a bit, and then the weekend's
It's tough
over.
because it was cold, right? It was like there was nothing really to even tempt you to go outside.
I felt like I should have done a bit more,
Yeah.
but I ended up. So where we left off last time was I was trying to pull out the front main seal of my car, and I was doing it with a tool that wasn't meant for the job. So I bought a tool that's meant for that job, but and when I bought it, I knew that it might not work. But basically, there are two metal tabs, and I'll try and describe this for those not watching on YouTube, but two metal tabs that insert into the seal right between the inside of the seal and the crankshaft, and they're hooked. So you put them in there, and you hook them out, and then you twist a thread that'll push on the crank and pull the seal out. But the seal is in there so hard right now that it actually bent the two little tabs that are supposed to pull the.
Oh no!
So still sitting there, and I'm just kind of like, okay, I'm gonna have to really think about how I get this seal out.
Oh,
But so yeah, that's what I did other than watching TV and absolutely nothing.
how about you, Manny?
I went. Our region has a monthly breakfast, so I drove the Boxer down because I had to put some miles on that. Down to Annapolis, about a 45-minute drive for me, and we had about 20-some people. It was a nice breakfast. That was pretty much the only car thing.
Oh, and I'm kind of sad because I believe this upcoming weekend is a Chesapeake Region's after holiday party, right?
Yes.
Oh man, I'm bummed.
We do it's not your. What I like to think is not your typical after holiday party in the sense that there's speeches and awards and whatnot. We do a gift exchange, Yankee swap. It's if you're a fan of The Office, they did it in one of the episodes because Michael didn't get something he wanted, so he changed the from a Secret Santa to a Yankee swap, and so we've been doing it. I'm going to say close to 30 years, maybe.
Wow.
I have somehow managed to be the one who's co-hosted every one of them. Bob Gutjahr, I think, is behind me by 5 or so.
I got to do it one year when Bob got sick.
That's right. Last year, in fact.
Was
when
it last year?
Bob was sick.
Oh yeah.
And you basically, if you haven't played the game, everyone brings a Porsche-themed gift that's, I think, $40, $35, and we it's wrapped, but you don't put your name on it, and you get a card with your name on it, piece of paper. We put all the piece of paper in a bowl, and we pull the names out, and essentially the last person is the one who gets a choice of whatever gift that's already been opened. But as the game goes around, you can either steal someone's gift that's already been opened, or you can pick a new gift and open it up and take your chances, what's behind door number one. And, over the years, we've had some interesting gifts. But as of the past, I'm going to say 15 years, it became a contest who could bring the most stolen gifts. Mm-hmm. So, it's far and away exceeded the minimum amount to bring in, dollar-wise, because people would go to Daytona and get their posters autographed by all the drivers, or go to Rennsport, and they would always have two posters, one for themselves and one for the holiday party or after holiday party. And so now there's several gifts that everyone
it's pretty
cool.
Steal. So you mentioned the $40 minimum, but there's probably 80% of the gifts are going to be that value, because they want to see their prize get chosen over and over and over. And it's funny because the folks that are kind of new to the after holiday party, they stick to the rules and they buy like a 1/18 die-cast car for like $40, which is nice, but they soon realize, man, I didn't bring like the gift, right? So,
and we tell people your name is not on the gift, so we're going to make fun of the gifts. If you brought something lame, we will make fun of the gifts, and but we don't make fun of the person, because we don't know who brought the gift unless you want to fess up that you brought the gift. But
and again, if they're new, sometimes they don't realize that. And
we used to have this come along, this manually operated come along that weighed about, I don't know, 30 pounds maybe. Mm-hmm. And so everyone who had been to the party event before knew, as they picked up the box, that's probably to come along because it was so heavy. But the new people didn't know, so they thought, this is a pretty good gift. They opened it up, and they're like, what in the world is this thing?
Yes, and they go home with it, and then they go.
And we would tell them afterwards, you got to bring it back next year if you don't want it, because it's been re-gifted. But one time somebody wanted it, and they actually wanted it, and they never bought it back.
I haven't seen it in a while. All right, so let's get into some Porsche news. Some viral video from Brazil. I didn't even click on it. So what was up with that?
This is the...
the Panamera headlights.
No, stealing the Panamera headlights.
Oh.
Yeah, I thought you would like this. Yeah, showing how quickly you can steal headlights. This is nothing new, by the way. When Porsche started switching to these more modern headlights, and the headlights started becoming super expensive, rather than like a $80 glass replacement. They were and Nathan has showed this on. I just was reminded of this when I previewed his 911 Turbo video he was working on, and how easy it is to remove the headlights on a 996 Turbo and a Boxster. It's just as easy to steal them.
Whoa! So usually these headlights, you need to go. You have to like unclip them. So how did this guy did he just yank on them?
Yeah, he's just yanking on them. It's he just walks up, and if you're watching on YouTube,
lifts it from the front.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to say thieves are very innovative.
Oh yeah, he's just yanking.
You know what? There must be a bit of give where they figured out that you can kind of pry it up without breaking something too much.
You're thinking, well, if it's broken, how's he going to sell it? They're not selling them to the people who have another Panamera that need headlights. They're using it because LED lights inside of them are desirable for marijuana growers who are growing it indoors.
No way.
Yes, in the article that I read, they said that's really
what?
Gosh, that's so crazy.
That is crazy. I thought you were going to say they sell them to
people that modify. This is Colombia or
modify
some country in
cars.
South America that.
That's so crazy.
Oh man, one more thing to worry about.
And there's nothing really you can do to prevent that other than the most basic form of park in a well-lit place. Make sure, and this is key, don't go for the cheapest insurance you can find. Make sure your insurance will cover the headlights, and more importantly, that it will cover new headlights. Because a lot of insurance people are like, oh, they told me I have to use used parts.
Yeah.
Well, yes, that's one of the reasons why you got the cheaper insurance. If you read the fine print, they're able to do that. If you get the better quality insurance, if you use your insurance agent to help guide you, then you can specify new OEM parts
That's crazy.
So yeah, it's
Wow.
it was a pretty interesting thing I thought I'd share.
All right, next piece of news: Kelly Moss.
So we're seeing more and more of Daytona 24 Hours coming up in a few weeks. More and more teams coming out with their cars and their livery. Kelly Moss, a longtime supporter of PCA, especially with Cult Racing. They're running their GTT, the GT3R car, so it'll be fun to.
That's a good looking livery.
Yeah, it's going to be a great 24 hours to watch, and it's only going to get better by next year when you have even more of the prototypes in place from the different manufacturers. It's going to be like the heyday of the 962s.
So when these cars or when the street going cars integrate hybrid technology, do you see the racing cars being more along those lines to match what's on the street?
I haven't heard any talk yet of when the 911 or the street cars in this class will be running hybrid. I think the prototypes are still working that out. That's their biggest challenge with the prototypes is the software of the hybrid system, whether or not it'll work. And that'll be, to me, the big story of the 24 hours is
Who finished the race?
well, it finished, yeah, exactly. Like we were on a call with Ryan Kerrigan, who's covering the race. Will an LMP2 car win this race? Which I'm sure IMSA does not want. They want the new class to win. But I'm very, very much reminded of when the Daytona prototypes first showed up. The same concern they were breaking down, and they were like, "Oh my God, this brand new class that they came out with may not win."
Yeah.
Because the cars were breaking down. This is a 24-hour race, and it's run like a sprint race, even though it's 24 hours. So as far as the street cars, I'm sure eventually you're going to have a hybrid system because having driven the hybrid, as we described, the aftermarket hybrid, it's a lot of power.
All right, next up we have Panamera again, and this time in
So we saw this
Turbo GT.
a while ago. We saw the spy photos because it had the center locking
wheels.
which
Yep.
we thought was kind of unusual for the Panamera. But it looks like they're going to be coming out with some kind of, I don't know if it'll be a GT car in the sense of a GT3, but certainly a higher end, sportier car.
So I'm thinking it's along the lines of how they treated the Cayenne GT, right?
Turbo GT.
Turbo
yeah.
GT, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what my guess would be. I mean, why do something too radically different?
Yeah.
It's the Panamera. I mean, the Panamera, in some ways, I believe it's longer and might be wider than the Cayenne. But
I think you're right.
I'm
think
pretty
so.
sure that it'll still
Sure
be a
looks that
quicker
way.
car.
Yeah.
So the Turbo S hybrid, e-hybrid, we know from being in Germany, that thing is just a beast.
Oh, yeah.
So, this thing will be ridiculously quick, with sub 3 seconds, 0 to 60. That's 911 Turbo S territory.
Well, the Turbo S that we had here was sub 3 seconds.
Yeah, 2.9.
Yeah.
So, just
Which
think
was quicker than the GT3. I remember thinking, wow.
Oh
this is
yeah, it's way quicker than
acceleration-wise.
way quicker than GT. But as I look at that picture, let me ask this question again: why center locks for the street?
Why a performance Turbo GT Panamera?
No, but I'm just thinking from the practicality side. Like you get a flat, but I guess people that are getting flats aren't, in a Panamera. They're not really changing their tires anyway. So
What I think is that everything that Porsche has done to the Cayenne Turbo GT, and they'll probably do to the Panamera Turbo GT, if that's what this ends up being, totally pointless for what that car is meant to do. However, if you're in a performance enthusiast, it's like what you wouldn't buy that as your first car. You probably wouldn't buy that as your first Porsche.
but let me just back it
You
up.
know.
Back it up. Just center lock wheels in general across the line.
Hey, why?
Well, because
Why?
it looks motorsports, right? That's why Porsche
Oh,
does
you
it.
think
Why
so?
else
You
would
think,
they do it?
You think that's the reason why they do that for street cars? For
I
the
think
center-
so. Why do that otherwise?
I'm
If
sure
it's
they
so
can,
that's what
much
I'm
more of a
trying to-
sure they can
hassle.
argue the lighter weight. But
To go from center lock from 5 lug to center lock, you think it's lighter?
probably is
negligible, but that's my first. But I agree.
For the street, I'm all about
Like with Steve got
5
his
lug nuts.
GTS, he specified 5 lug.
It's so you can go and
That's
say,
what I would
hey,
do.
see that race car there? It has center lock wheels. Where my GT3 RS has those, and now my Panamera Turbo GT has those.
When it first came out, we
Must
were
be a
all
race
like,
car.
"That's really cool." They're incorporating cup car stuff onto the their 911. But then as we started to live with them, we realized, wait a minute.
All right,
It's not
so
as easy.
so for our listeners, in case you have a better explanation of why center lock wheels for a street car, please educate me. This is one where I struggle with. That's like, just give me 5 lugs and I can work on my car. And okay, a lot of people don't work on the cars. I get it. But even if you got a flat on 95, who's going to be able to help
I
you?
still miss the studs instead of the bolts.
Oh yeah.
So I think somebody
a lot
who
easier
buys a
guided.
Turbo GT.
No,
or-
I'll just go back. Just go back
Yeah.
to a regular 911 with center lock wheels.
Yeah.
Not even
Yeah.
a Turbo GT.
But a regular 911 won't get center lock wheels.
Yeah, but GTS, sure.
A GTS.
GTS is almost a GT3
But it's not.
territory.
But it's not.
It's not, yes.
I'm almost Brad Pitt,
But you're
but I'm
not.
not.
yeah. Well, GTS, once again, hey, I want my car to look like the GT3.
I think it's a matter of looks, which is kind of disappointing
is.
to me because I like Porsche because they usually don't do that kind of game of just what looks good. They usually have a purpose.
Well, so Porsche can argue that, oh, it's lighter, and it's 1 lug instead of 5, right? But in real world, it just doesn't work for
We'll
a
have to
street
ask
car
Michael
all
Tam
that well.
this,
Yeah,
what
I mean,
his opinion is.
Yeah.
just taking them on and off, you have to have a special tool.
Yeah.
You can't just have a regular lug wrench to take them off.
Like
And-
ceramic brakes, total sense. I understand that completely.
Yeah.
But center lock,
Not so much. All right. So again, if you guys have a better explanation for us, chime in there. The next one we just got hot off the out of the press room, and I had some information on this when I went to
PCA.org has an article on that as well.
Is it up there
actually.
now?
Yeah,
Okay.
it is. It was up there yesterday.
All right, the Experience Center in Atlanta is getting bigger, bolder, and it's going to be even larger of a playground for Porsche enthusiasts.
Yes, it is. And it has the Nürburgring carousel as a turn, or it sort of mimics that. It has a Laguna Seca corkscrew style turn, which is a pretty good impression of that. And then they said Daytona. There's a turn inspired by the Daytona International Speedway. Up there, other than a very small bus stop, what do you see that's Daytona?
Huh.
And what is
which
Dragon
one's
Tail
a
mean?
carousel? Is it number 6?
Yeah, carousel's number 6, corkscrew's number 3, and then there's something they call Dragon Tail is number 1, but there's no turn or set of turns called Dragon Tail at Daytona.
So I'm very leery when I hear there's the best corners or most iconic corners because we have a track nearby called the Jefferson Circuit, part of the Summit Point complex, and that's what
Shenandoah.
Shenandoah, was inspired. When we heard it, it was like, wow, this is going to be awesome. They're going to have a carousel. They're going to have a corkscrew, and wow, it did not work out.
It's not one of my favorite tracks.
It is the least favorite track. So there's more than just the corner. It's what leads to it. It's the size of it. Because the carousel, at least the one at the Shenandoah Circuit, is not the same size as the carousel at the Nürburgring. And I'm betting that this may be the same way. I haven't looked into it. But
Yeah, it's similar. It doesn't look like it goes more than 180 degrees, and the Nürburgring
well, it's
one
the size
is,
because Shenandoah is 180, but
Yeah.
it's much smaller, and they advertised that it was a smaller version. But hey, it became a bigger track, and
Another
more
opportunity
stuff
for
to
track
do
time. Yep.
at the Experience Center. And like I've told people at the member breakfast I went to, there was new members there, and they were going to pick up a car, and I said, think about doing delivery at PEC Atlanta because you get to ride on the track in their car, and it's part of the whole experience of buying a car.
So I know the track is getting most of the limelight in this announcement, but if you look in the map there, what you don't see is a huge Porsche Classic Center. That's number 8, Robert, and that's going to be a big deal.
It's there's also that service center is number 7. So if you want to get your Porsche serviced in Georgia, you don't have to go to a dealer or an independent. You can
Yep.
go to the PEC.
Exactly.
And right across from there is the first Chick-fil-A,
The original Chick-fil-A called the Dwarf House.
Dwarf House, which is
And they actually had to recently remodel because they were getting so much traffic. The
people going in for the little door.
Right. Yeah.
people were complaining of the traffic it was causing onto the main street, so they had to kind of expand towards the back and bring more people onto the property so that they could free up the traffic. But
Chick-fil-A effect.
that whole area is just booming. And for those of you that fly into Atlanta, more often than not, when you go to land, you're going to look to your right and see PEC, and it's pretty cool to see all these Porsche. It almost looks like a little a toy as you're landing in Atlanta, and you see all these cars running around on the track.
It's on airport property, PEC. That's why you need to have an appointment or a reservation. You just can't drive onto the property and go look around. And if you do get inside the building, you're not going to hear the planes going by. And the first time we went there, I noticed that as we were talking in one of the rooms, that a plane was within looked like 100 yards of us landing, and you didn't hear anything. And I thought, boy, this is really thick glass, and we can hear it. And the guy said, actually, they pipe in white noise. The glass is the same thickness. The white noise drowns out the sound of the plane. And sure enough, when you opened the door, you heard the plane loud and clear.
Yeah,
the white noise was really impressive.
And a little factoid for you all that are into movies and such. So Hollywood obviously is well known for the movie scene, but Atlanta also is probably the second area in the United States where lots of movies and such are filmed. And for those of you that don't know, the Avengers movie, right, was at PEC Atlanta.
Was it Avengers 2, I think?
Mm-hmm. And then they other movies have, it's a beautiful building, and other movies have used the PEC Atlanta for a backdrop as well.
Yeah, I don't watch the Marvel movies too often. I've seen a few, but I think it's the headquarters for the Avengers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you can still, I think you can still see all the little pockmarks on the ground, I believe, from several years ago when they were filming and damaged the floor a little bit.
Oh, really?
So that was, if you see those in the downstairs heritage area on the smooth, I believe, concrete, little pockmarks and scratches, that's from a Marvel movie.
That's funny.
Yeah.
All right, so what videos have we had lately?
So we had a 1 mile review where you drove a 2021 Macan S.
Oh, yes, we drove Mr. Paul Gentili's 2021 Macan S. And here's where I love you all in terms of you watch and look at every detail of the video. And I misspoke. And I'm going to throw it out there. I'm going to throw Mr. Gentili under the bus because he told me it was the 6-cylinder twin turbo, but it was not actually a twin turbo. It's a twin screw single turbo.
Yeah, single turbo, 3-liter. It's the last year of that 3-liter single turbo V6.
Yeah, but regardless, the horsepower, the drive.
You got the horsepower right.
Yeah.
You got the important
it's
part.
a beautiful car. It's a wonderful car, and it's one of those where, you know, and I think I was pretty happy to see a lot of people, you know, watched it and said the review was pretty spot on. But then there are a good number of people that said, you know, I didn't exactly understand why these cars are so popular. I might have to look into one because it does seem to still have the spirit of a sports car, but in a much more, you know, daily driver, you know, reasonable car to just kind of flog every day. And
it's a good two-person car.
Yeah.
If you're planning on carrying passengers, I would encourage you to sit in the back seat.
Yeah.
And it's, whatever the front seat's going to be at, you go sit in the back seat and see if that's going to cut mustard or not.
Yeah.
I think the Cayenne, if you're planning to carry passengers on a regular basis at least, then that's something you may want to look at. But
yeah,
this is their best-selling car, is the Macan.
It is. And I've also driven the base model Macan, and I tell you what, don't discount the base model. You know, some folks, you know, never ever consider a base model, but the power in the base model and like 150 pounds or so lighter on the front end makes it a fun little nimble ride.
Probably handles a little better.
Yeah. And then of course there's aftermarket solutions out there to kind of tweak the base model, and you can get some serious horsepower.
That's the same
gains.
engine that you find in a bunch of Audis and VW GTI and GLI.
And all those folks modify those to the moon,
If
right?
you want to tune it, you got plenty of options.
But that was a fun 1 mile review.
Yeah, definitely. So as far as other videos, we have a couple. I'm trying to figure out which one I'm going to publish next, and it'll either be a Nathan Mers. We have an hour-and-a-half video all about the 996 Turbo. So if you want to know about the 996 Turbo and every single little detail.
And you can count. We can have a drinking game. How many times Nathan... I already got the name for Nathan's book.
Foibles?
Foibles. Quirks and
Foibles. That's his
foibles.
favorite word to use.
Really?
Foibles. I even looked it up to make sure it really was a word.
Yeah, so we got Doug DeMuro, quirks and features, and
Yeah.
Nathan is
Foibles.
He loves saying foibles.
Should we make shot glasses that say foibles on them?
Foibles.
Or
Why
at least
not?
a shirt that has this picture on it with foibles.
Yeah. So it'll either be that, and then we also have a shop tour of LN Engineering, as we were there recently. If you've been paying attention to our YouTube channel, we recently had a video about the Sportomatic semi-automatic transmission, and we filmed a shop tour at LN while we were there. So look forward to either of those videos coming up next.
Yeah, and I'll take this opportunity to congratulate Damon. Last year, we've really pushed to put a lot of videos out, and I know we've said it a million times about how each and every one of you can help us get to 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. But he's also responsible for other areas of digital media, and we just surpassed about 65,000 on YouTube, which is a great feat. But year over year, the number of videos we've done, maybe you should share with them, what kind of reach on the digital side just in 2022. How many?
So when you're thinking about all of our platforms, and this is a rough number, but we reached probably about 33 million people.
30
as far as page views on our website, our YouTube channel, Facebook, Instagram. So we're
30?
reaching a lot of
Does
folks.
it tell you what other
33
countries
million.
were popular in?
Some analytics do, but I haven't delved too deeply into that. But it's U.S. and Canada, and then you have a sprinkling of
You know
some
what?
random,
But though
random countries.
I watch just on the podcast side. I look at our chartable rankings. Dude, we're all over the world. We're Japan. We're Australia. We're Thailand. I mean,
Do you think you'd be recognized if you went over there?
no, absolutely not, because I don't think there's that many. But it is cool that there's people all over the world listening into us.
Yeah. And as far as the YouTube, I'll give you all this one statistic, and hopefully that'll help you want to subscribe. So we know a lot of you guys are watching, guys and gals. In 2019, we had 95,000 hours of watch time. And this year we had 395,000 hours of watch time. We're in 2022. So we know you're watching. You're just not subscribing. We would really appreciate that.
It makes a difference for
Makes a
us, and
difference.
it's going to be able, for us to go to our executive council and show the progress that we're making, and then hope they'll allow us to invest more into digital media and bring you guys even more content and more special guests, more cool cars, so on and so forth.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so let's if you have anything else, or let's go into events.
Let's go into events.
All right. So, Tech Tactics Live, February 1st, will be Nathan's market update. That one's probably going to be a super popular one. I will look back at the Confessions of a Porsche Salesman. That video, Manny. I mean,
Or closing in on 30,000 views.
closing in on
so-
30,000 views. That's
which
pretty
is
pretty
probably our
awesome.
fastest growing Tech Tactics Live episode.
Yep. Let's see. Phase 1 registration for the 2023 Porsche Parade. in Palm
Before
Springs.
you go to that, I know we had some comments where people say they love this, I guess, behind the scenes, or they like the idea of having a salesperson, former salesperson who had no dog in the hunt, giving some advice. The next thing I would love to address or get is insurance.
Oh, okay.
Car insurance, but collector and just regular car insurance, of what to get, what not to get.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for someone that we can bring on that isn't a
neutral.
salesperson, isn't
That's
selling
neutral.
anymore.
Yeah.
It's retired, and it can tell us, what they know about the insurance industry as far as.
Well, and as you guys that have been regular listeners know, I've been going through this insurance issue with my daughter's car being hit. I've learned a lot, and then I think I'm pretty well versed in insurance, but going through the claim just yesterday, I'm still chasing down like $500 from USAA because of the deductible that I had to pay. But obviously, when it's not your fault, the person that hits you. So yeah, stuff like that. I think there's a lot more to learn.
I mean, my experience with the collector car was so much better than with my regular home and auto, where the collector car, they specified all OEM parts.
Yeah.
Everything top notch. They wanted the car repaired exactly the way it was before it wrecked. When I go with the provider that does my home and auto, it's the opposite. Now, what I would love to know is it worth? Can you get that type of service or that type of coverage so you're not, like you say, battling the insurance? Because it always seems like it's a complete battle.
It is,
and it's a terrible way to do business, in my opinion.
Yep. So back to Porsche Parade, Phase 1 registration opens February 1st, and that one we're gonna actually when they get this podcast, we will have done Tech Tactics Live on upcoming events in 2023. So you should see on YouTube some pro tips, as Manny likes to call it, of how to get into events. But for Phase 1, it's not one that you have to, I wouldn't say it wouldn't dilly-dally, but it's not as critical as what we saw with Treffin.
So Treffin was interesting because it was the people who've done it before, who maybe listened to us, knew what they wanted as soon as they logged on. Mm-hmm. And you could tell how quickly they went to the payment windows. There was people, unfortunately, who I think they saw the website for the first time when it opened, because Robert said they were still looking at the website when we sold out. Yeah. Which I'm sure they were shocked to think, well, I got on right at
3:05.
Exactly. And then when I went to check out, it said it was sold out. Yeah. And so even with Parade, you want to make sure that you know which room you prefer and what backups you have. The big one's Phase 2. Phase 2 is where you choose your tours, your meals. And I know people complain, why is it so long? Why do I have to answer so many questions? Well, it's so long because it's a week long. And we have to ask questions on every event, whether or not you want to do this or you don't want to do this, so there's no mistake when you actually show up to registration.
Exactly. Next, we have we talked a little bit earlier about the 24 hours at Daytona. So hopefully we will see some of you there. That's January 28th and 29th. Registration for Works Reunion has already opened, and the corral is still open, but you want to register soon because
it's about 2/3 sold out.
Yeah,
and as we get closer, it sells out every year. So,
and e-break, we're recording on a Tuesday, so e-break will go out tonight, and you'll be hearing this on Monday. So there will be very, very few spots left.
Yep. And Tech Tactics East will be back at Easton. That registration will be opening January 18th. And the event itself is February 18th and 19th.
And our next Tech Tactics Live, if you listen to this, will be, as he said, Nathan with the market update. But the one after that will be on a Saturday, and we'll be doing it from the Easton Porsche facility. We're not sure yet what the topic is. I would love to have one of the Porsche people if Porsche approves it. If not, I just got word that Lake Speed and Charles Navarro are going to do a presentation together about oil analysis.
Oh, sweet.
Which Damon had done to his Cayman.
Yeah,
oil
my
analysis.
engine is better than when it was 15,000 miles ago.
How to read them, how to understand them, how to maintain your engine so it lasts a long time. So it should be, the two of them are just encyclopedias of knowledge. So I think that'll be a very popular presentation. So that's also a possibility. If it's not Tech Tactics Live, it certainly will be recorded, and we'll show it, release it gradually over the next couple of months.
Okay. All right, folks. Well, thanks for listening. If you aren't currently a PCA member, you own a Porsche, just grab that VIN and head over to PCA.org and we'll set you up. And if you don't own a Porsche yet, check out the test drive program. That's just for you, and we'll help you find that first Porsche. Remember to follow our podcast Instagram page, behind the scenes photos and videos, Porsche Club Insider, all one word. And always, we love to hear from you. If it's not through the comments, feel free to reach out to us via podcast at pca.org. And until next time, stay safe, and we'll catch you down the road.